South Carolina and UNC preview, Chris. By the way, in the chat, let us know what you think here about this game. Who wins? This is kind of a slept-on matchup. It's one that everyone kind of overlooks a little bit. God. But anyways, South Carolina, UNC, Chris, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts here, man, and I'll make a case for UNC here. You said it best. I was going to start this out with. It was this game is super slept on, man. It's weird. Like, I know there's a lot of other good games this coming up week. There's a shit ton of great games, but not this game is not getting near the hype I think it should be. But here we got an SEC school going against, obviously, probably a top 3 team in the ACC. A lot of people have UNC relatively high. The AP's got them, I think, at 21st up there. I have North Carolina being relatively good this year. My big thing is, like, we know Drake May is going to come out. And if you haven't watched this kid play, he makes about 1 or 2 throws a game that are just jaw-dropping. This is what he does. To me, it's going to be between him and Caleb Williams this year, who's the number 1 pick in the NFL draft. These two are awesome at everything. But my big thing with North Carolina, Christian, in this game, and we don't have to look too far, and you know where I'm going with this. Can Mac Brown get a defense over there? These guys gave up over 30 points a game last year. I believe they were like 103rd in the country out of 131 teams on defense. Yeah, it's just not enough. Even in the ACC, I mean, the ACC is so top heavy. I think it's kind of Clemson, Florida, and there's a big gap between kind of everybody else in that conference. North Carolina is that fringe team, the team that we know is going to put up points. They got a ton of weapons. They got a great wide receiver room. Mac Brown is a good coach. We all know who he is and what he did at Texas in his long time there. But, God, they got to play some defense, man. I mean, this game, especially against Spencer Rattler, who is very up and down. When he's at his peak, he's just as good as a Drake May or a Caleb Williams. But then we watched him last year, Christian, in some of those games where he looks like a guy that probably should be a third-string, backup JV quarterback, honestly. I mean, he turns the ball over sometimes just sporadically. This game to me is very interesting. I want to hear your thoughts in your case here, Christian, and before we give our predictions.
Yeah, so for South Carolina, I mean, the biggest question mark, I think, is going to be, which Spencer Rattler are you going to get in this game, right? Last year, he was very up and down. But, man, when he's on, this kid looks like a legit first-round draft pick, Chris. 100%. I mean, the way he kind of lit up in, Tennessee and Clemson last year, I mean, this kid can ball, right? But he's got to be on, and that's the thing. I mean, you just don't know from week to week which one you're going to get. They're also getting back their top wideout from last year in Juice Wells. They bring in a new offensive coordinator, Dowell Loggins, from Arkansas. And he also brings in a very talented tight end, and Trey Knox, also from Arkansas, with him. Probably get him involved very early and often. Here's the thing, Chris, right? Offensive line play. They got a ton of question marks, as does the run game for me in this one. And that's very hard, obviously, to get something going. Can Loggins get the running game back on track for South Carolina enough to take that pressure off of Rattler, especially against North Carolina, Chris? That's going to be the biggest question mark to me, right? South Carolina's defense, I mean, they had a very good secondary last year, right? And they're going to be, I mean, they were legit a good secondary. But the problem with their defense, Chris, and this is something you touched on, this game is going to come down to defense, I think, obviously. Who can get at least a stop in this game? Yep. The run was really where they got kind of gashed last year. They ranked 117th in rushing defense last year. I mean, that's not going to cut the mustard at all. No. So I don't care what conference you're in. The good news, though, right, is it's a new year, and UNC finished ranked 67th in rushing offense, right? So obviously, like you touched on, Chris, UNC is going to probably come in here and try to probably throw the ball a little more. So that might kind of play a little bit better there. We touched on it. South Carolina beat Clemson last year, and Clemson blew out UNC in the ACC championship game. Obviously, it's a new year. A lot of different factors are kind of playing in there, right? Give me in this game UNC 38, South Carolina 45.
Woo! Holy shit. You got to track me. And I thought maybe you were going to go the other way there. I'm taking South Carolina in this game, and I'm taking it 38-35. I think this game, and it could be higher scoring than that.
Yeah.
Again, if South Carolina can run the ball a little bit, that's one of their biggest problems too, is that they rely on Rattler to pretty much do everything. That'll make it a little bit easier for them in this game. They're going to have to put up points with UNC. I think UNC finishes like a top 15 offense last year as far as points per game and yardage game. I mean, they throw a shit ton with Drake May. And like I said, if you guys haven't watched Drake May, I suggest watching him play. This kid can throw the football. Mac Brown's always been known to have great offenses. I don't see anything changing this year for UNC. The only problem is, like I said, can they stop anybody? If their defense looks like it did last year, this SC is going to roll them here. I truly believe that. So I'm going to say 38-35. I think it comes down to the wire. I think it'll be a close game. Yeah. It could be a shootout like you're saying too, where you're getting into the 40s, something like that. This game will be fun to watch. I don't have any dogs in this game, but it's going to be a fun football game to watch, Christian.
Yeah, absolutely, Chris. I mean, just like you said, I mean, it's one of those games where this is what college football is about. Watching games like this where it's a very back and forth shootout style game where, you know, it's just an interesting game to watch, right? And either way, you probably, unless you're a South Carolina or UNC or Mac Brown fan here, you're probably okay with whatever, so long as it's a damn good game.
Exactly.